We are live. All right. So it's been forever because we didn't do the June one. Uh, on my end, I have been struggling to update the merge request for the muted reason because all of the SQL has changed, uh, and the whole process post SQL, which is like 100-line PGSQL thing. It has changed on develop, so which means that all of my changes need to be redone to accommodate that. So I've been working
hmm
on this. Um, Hopefully that will come soon enough. Although I don't know what the current release schedule is like for HiveMind. I'm not sure there is anything
Probably
planned for a while.
July, I think, is the next planned release date.
Yeah. Okay. So we should be all right. So that's been planned. Meanwhile, I've been also working on the next feature using the current, not developed, but like, so the current muted reason feature works right now. Just need to, it works, but not against develop. But meanwhile, I've been working on the beneficiaries feature as well on HiveMind, and I'll probably backtrack those changes against changes that I do with the muted reason. And yeah, that's about it.
Okay, I'll take it next, I guess. Well, as far as HiveD work goes, we're just about finished up the work on the lightweight blockchain nodes that don't require much storage space. There's a merge request open now. Apparently, once that gets reviewed and merged in, I think that's pretty much all the changes we had planned for the lightweight nodes. So um, we're planning a new release of HiveD near the end of this month. Um, so that'll probably be a good time for people to start testing out the lightweight nodes outside of internal testing here. There's also, as part of that update, we'll be changing the next hard fork trigger date. Right now, plan to set it for near the end of September. Um, the hard fork itself is mostly small changes because the base Hive protocols pretty stable nowadays. So most of the changes we're doing really aren't at the level of protocol changes. Um, as you guys know, most new functionality is being added via the Half applications. We're hoping to release a new updated version of Half and the various Half apps like HiveMind, Block Explorer, etc., sometime in July. A lot of these changes that we're making are performance improvements of various sorts. Some of making some of the API calls faster, reducing storage requirements, that type of thing. We're also adding open API documentation to all the APIs. This is, I think, really important. Um, Basically, the way what we've got to allow you to do now is if you document your API using Open API, we've got a chain set up, a process chain set up now that'll automatically generate Swagger docs. And for those who don't know what Swagger docs are, that means it's like an interactive. You get like interactive web pages that you could actually go to those web pages and test out your API calls in real time, and just it's really great for learning how API calls work because if you have an idea of what it should do, you can just try it and see if it works or not. So I think that'll be a great addition to our docs. Um, we've we're also been continuing to work on some things, some new things related to Half. In this case, we're talking about light accounts. Light accounts is a concept that allows people to tie a name to a bunch of keys that aren't understood by the first layer, but can be useful by second layer applications. I've talked about that more elsewhere, so I probably won't go into that too much here unless somebody has questions about it, which I'm happy to answer. We're also, as part of that work, uh, defining what we call second layer transactions. And second layer transactions are kind of just what they sound like. Whereas a first layer transaction is the way of processing a bunch of first layer operations as a whole, so they either all happen or don't. We're supporting a similar concept for second layer applications. And so we're defining a spec for how to describe a second layer transaction. And that work is being done not completely, but certainly partly in order for the second layer smart contract design we're doing. And again, that's still in early stages, but I think we're making good progress on all these fronts: light accounts, second layer transactions, and second layer smart contracts. But nonetheless, I don't yet have a timeline for when we're going to release that. I would like to say near the end of the year, but that's probably pretty aggressive. We'll just have to see. What else? I think we got another 2 weeks working on documentation before we're ready to release Wax. Wax is our new multi-language API library. I originally was told or expected that we could probably get it released this week, but I've been reviewing everything, and I think we probably got at least another 2 weeks to get all the documentation ready. And maybe that's even a little hopeful, but I'm thinking we could really buckle down and try to get the documentation out as fast as possible. So we'll see. And finally, on the front-end front, we've been working on Denser, which is an open source replacement for Condenser built on newer web technologies. We've completed the blogging side of Denser at this point, and now we've begun working on the quote wallet side of it. So this is basically just the way Condenser is split up into two parts. We've been dividing up the work between those two categories of work, blogging and wallet functionality. Again, we don't know for sure, but we're hoping to have a demo ready for HiveFest that just sort of shows what Denser looks like. Not necessarily production ready, but at least a pretty good idea of what it can do. Other than that, there's also more work going on in the Block Explorer, the UI, which is going to take advantage of changes we've been making to the Block Explorer API, and just also fixing various things that have been reported over time by people. So that's about it for our work in a nutshell. There's a lot of other stuff going on I guess, the lower level, but it's too much to talk about, really. So I'll just pass it off to whoever wants to talk next. Or if anyone has any questions.
Maybe I'll give a quick update from our end.
Sure.
If no one has questions. All right, thanks. So not to focus on ActiveIt side of things. I mean, we did just push an update for our iOS version, but I'm more interested in updating you guys on recently we assigned a couple of my team members to help out with some of the Block Explorer work. So I'm interested in chatting about this a bit with you, Dan. We started pushing a few minor changes or fixes. We have a small queue of things that we think would be helpful for the Block Explorer. I did set a few tasks for the team. I think will be useful. How do you want us to go about this? Should we create tasks on GitLab? Should we track
Absolutely.
those on our end? Should we?
No, just create them. Just create new issues directly on GitLab. That way we know.
Okay.
So best, when you first see a change, you won't just throw an issue, and then you can also indicate if you plan on if it's something you want your team to do, or if it's just if you're not really sure. Just sort of throw that an issue. Basically, just give me an impression of how important what the issue is, who you think should work on it, and that kind of thing.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I think this makes things easier because last week I asked one of our team to add the, a timestamp display on the user transactions, and then once he finished the work, I saw that someone else from your team did that.
Exactly.
So I said, okay, put this on.
That's why the issues is a really good way to do this. It avoids work.
Precisely. So I told him, okay, don't waste your work. Let's one improvement we can do is actually to do a mouse over, and then you can display the actual time of the transaction, because that's missing there. So it's not all lost. But yeah, I think it's great if we can have a solidified list of things that we can probably improve or we can work on fixing.
Yep.
One thing I noticed recently, an error that's occurring with no data from API endpoint regarding get account authority. I saw an issue on your tracker, but it doesn't mention any details. It's about upgrading the Block Explorer to align with the new endpoint, but there were no details at all.
So that's all work that's in progress. So, I mean, the work has been done on, I think, in the back end, and probably the front end that hasn't been updated to take advantage of the new data. And if there's an issue out for it, and I've got it marked as a high priority issue, and I've just bugged the guy who's responsible for making those changes.
I saw it. I knew there was something there.
So
it had a priority.
I have personally directed it the priority higher. I messaged him directly just a little bit before this meeting, so I'm hoping that in a day or two that'll be done. But we'll see.
Okay, excellent. Do you think we need to update our half block explorer code so that this gets fixed, because it's saying no data from API endpoint, and I think maybe
Yeah,
it relates to
yeah.
something like that.
The UI needs to be updated. Well, if you're running, so you're running the latest UI, and it
Yeah.
depends on which configuration. If you're running the latest UI and not the latest Block Explorer, then it should be okay. But I honestly don't know. I tell you what, I think once we get the change, probably what you're going to do is you're going to want to update. So you're talking about your production Block Explorer, right? You're not talking about your
Yes,
development.
yes, production. Yeah.
Let's take it offline. I'll check off after the meeting. I can look at what you can show me the issue, and I can
Okay.
I can tell you what's
Okay.
going
Sure.
on.
Sure.
I'll find somebody to have talk to you about it.
Okay. Excellent. Excellent.
As far as I know, latest front-end code for Block Explorer requires newer version from the backend, which supports authority data collected for accounts. So to make it working, probably you need to have a newer version of backend, which, as I hope, was already deployed to our Explore OpenHive network and have be OpenHive network endpoints. And then
maybe
latest
maybe
version.
you could just point to that one for now.
Yes. So
yeah.
So that's good test step to be sure that everything works fine. And probably Explore OpenHive network already is pointed to such both versions. So front end and back end should match there, and they should work.
Yes.
Okay.
So I mean,
Okay.
I guess
I just share the error message on chat.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I guess this brings up one issue though. So if you're updating your front end with develop and your back end, you're not running your. We're talking about production, right? I'm thinking you're probably going to separate your production and your back end if possible, because right now the front end, the development front end is always just assuming the development back end, but you don't want to keep updating your production back end to update to the latest develop, because it takes too long to update. It takes days.
You're right. I just saw a lot of nice improvements, and I thought, hey, I need to bring those to the live environment. But we do run a development environment as well on a separate IP. I think what you're saying makes sense.
Okay. I just wanted to be sure that was clear. So yeah, okay. So that's going forward, I would just wait on the production one before updating it until both the UI, both the backend and UI are released, and then that way you won't run into that kind of issue. But temporarily, as a workaround, you can point your development front end to Gandalf's API.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
From important changes done in Half Block Explorer, which maybe wasn't yet merged completely, are changes specific to integration of reputation tracker. And this is one more application which collects reputation data specific to accounts. And it will require a little changes in setup, but appropriate merge requests and work has been already done in Half API node repository, but you always need to be sure that you are using latest version of that, because otherwise some components will be missing and your application just fail. Since we had to add some parts of deployment code directly to Half API node repo.
Yeah.
So further updates of Half Block Explorer will need also to update Half API node code.
Right, and so that's officially not planned for probably sometime in July.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll wait. No rush. Dan, should I just assign you? I don't want to bother you with too many notifications on GitLab, but
Oh, I
I'll
don't.
just put the issues and
Well,
yeah.
don't assign me. Just if you just put the issues on there, I will find out about them. I read basically everything that happens every day on GitLab. So if you make an issue, I'll see it.
Okay.
And then what I'd really like is if you would if you plan on somebody doing it, put who's you plan on having do it. So if they, I assume they have a GitLab handle. If not, maybe they can create one. And then if they get tagged, I'll know that you're planning on. I'll know it's something you plan on doing rather than just something you would like to see.
Yeah. I'll for now I'll assign them to myself because from my team, I mean, whoever is available, I'll probably just put
Got
them
it.
on a
That's
task.
fine. Okay.
Yes. Mhm.
Okay. That also works. And so if I have any feedback, I'll just put it on the issue, and it'll get you can get it to tell
Absolutely.
whoever you need.
Yes. Thank
Okay.
you.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, that's really it from my end.
Okay. Sounds good. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know if Bartek knows anything that's open. I mean, the decentralized badge thing sounds like a reasonable. I mean, it sounds like a good task for you because it's something you know about, whereas our guys don't really. So
Actually, the idea was to implement it in Wax, so then it could be just used. I mean, the high level.
Well, how is it going to be? I mean, he's talking about having a database associated with it.
As far as I remember, the idea was to reuse internally storage specific to follows and just hide under Wax interface specific of such details. But to complete this task, some additional extension of queries specific to follows must be added just to make sure that queries from client side will be effective and we don't blow it by thousands of records returned from it. And probably this is not big deal to implement. So if Ho has time, he can try to go this way. But I don't think so. We need to add another table just for badges. Probably this way, specific to specific follows, should be sufficient. But we need to figure out some smart API call which effectively can return badges specific to given account, and that's all.
Okay, let's maybe have a meeting to discuss this more at some point offline because
Yeah, I feel like it's sticky.
I don't really have enough background right now to.
All right.
I mean, I understand everything everyone said, but it doesn't tell me what the solution is, or it sounds like we don't have one yet exactly. So I think we need to have a separate meeting to discuss this. Maybe just form an issue. If we have an issue on it, we can write our ideas on the issue and then comment there as a beginning point.
Yeah, there is an issue. I mean, as I said, it's really not something urgent. It's more like it would.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's a pretty solid thing, and I mean, it's going to come up for us too with Denser, I guess. So
yeah.
and it sounds like they want to incorporate Wax functionality for it too. So lots of reasons I think we should. It's not a huge issue, but it's certainly worth addressing. So
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, maybe write down your thoughts on it, and we'll hopefully Bartek will write some more about what he's thinking about the follow stuff or whoever's idea that was, and then I'll want to review it too and just throw in my input.
Sounds good.
Actually, I have a question to Howo, which appeared today during my discussion with one of Denser developers. And this guy is trying to start new implementation of wallet in Denser. And one of its tasks is adding creation of community. And actually, documentation created for other operations specific to communities is quite well, and we use it already to build community operation builder in Wax. There is a very small amount of information specific to community creation, and I know that actually most of the work is to create account which has some specific name, but my doubts are specific to what next. Do we need some other properties to be set immediately, or some other custom JSON actions to be executed? If you has some information specific to that, it would be very helpful if you could supplement communities markdown document in Hivemind to have it written there.
Yeah, totally. I can do that. Well, in practice, you don't really need to do anything. It's just that the community will not have like any name or anything, so it's gonna be very blank. But like if you're asking like, does everything need to happen synchronously? Like you need to like in the same block create the account and then send the JSONs. You don't really need to do that. But if you're telling me that the documentation is lacking on like, let's say the basic setups JSONs, I will add that then.
Yeah, I think that's. I mean, if I understood him correctly, that's what he was saying.
Yeah.
Is whatever the setups, whatever the JSONs you do to create a
I'll
define
totally
a
work on that.
community.
No worries.
Okay, sounds good. Did anyone else have anything or questions about anything so far?
Not for me. I think that's it for myself.
All is good.
Okay,
All right, then I think we can call it today.
sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.